Well, hello everybody. How are you doing? This is Mother's Day, and I'm out doing a crop scout. We graciously got 1 3/10 rain last night, and it was much needed. It was getting awful dry, but I thought I'd take you around. I'm sitting on the little gator, and this way I don't have to walk, and it's muddy, and that way I can show you everything a little bit quicker. That way I don't have to edit as much. It'll just be able to film it. But here we go. Let me switch the camera around. And the radishes are finally looking good. They've been frosted, they've been cold, but they're finally starting to do something. And the beets in the back in front of the pickup are looking good, but you can pretty well tell where I had cultivated and where I haven't. A little green back there looks pretty good right there. And there's the little cultivator we're using. We just push cultivate them. It doesn't take that much. And you can tell exactly where I have and haven't been. A little weedier. This is all the lettuce. It's looking good. And that stuff back there was the spinach. I really need to do the rest of the lettuce, and that's all beets and carrots back there. I did plant the rest of this patch right there on that back side, all beets, 2 different kinds. I think there was 22 rows apiece on the second planting, but they're not coming up yet really. They needed the rain. We really needed the rain. I've been moving my pickup and trailer every time it rains or has a chance of rain, and I decided screw it, we're gonna leave it. And you can see right here that row beside the pickup is kohlrabi. This is our second and third planting of it. We got a bunch of onions in. We got some more onions in, and I'm gonna fill these other 2 with broccoli and cabbage probably. And now that it's fit, we're going to put in plastic, probably another, I don't know, 6 to 10 rows here. I did till it. I should say the stuff in the back behind the plastic by the greenhouse is where the potatoes are, and I do have a half row of zucchini and a half row of yellow squash, and that's about a 150-foot row, so 75 foot of each. And then we got all this that I just tilled the other day. Looked really nice. The stuff on the little triangle right here, there is 3 rows of cucumbers I just put in yesterday, and behind it is 7 rows of green beans, 150-foot rows. All of this right here is another second planting of radishes, and I am honestly shocked. I'm gonna drive out here in the mud a little bit. They are starting to come up a little bit. You can see the green in there. Most of the green is stuff that I had planted. And I don't know if you guys can see it, that electric fence post out there. Kind of, not really. We have like 4 rows of onions there. And then on this side, in this plot right here, I have ornamental corn. All the way down, it's 150 foot by 50 foot rows. Okay, back up, we're spinning just a little bit. I have to lock in the differential. Oh, we're spinning both of them. We'll push the 4x4 button. We'll get off of it. I'm really not tracking it up, it's just I've been out checking the garden. And it just has mud on the tires, and so they're just slick, and I'm trying not to spin. And right there's the Indian corn I just showed you, or ornamental corn, have to be PC. And then I have a second plot the exact same size. I planted them across as 50 foot, and it's about 150 to my middle there. I got that all done. It looked really nice. Thankful to get it done before it rained on it. I spent an awful lot of time hand seeding that with our little push seeder. Then we got out here sweet corn. You can definitely starting to see the rows. This is my second planting. As soon as it's fit, we're putting in another one. I've got 8 good rows of it. I do have 4 rows that I left here that I didn't plant anything on for a driveway. And then here in the weeds, let me get up here where you can see it a little better. I do have some really nice tall corn. This is that very first planting. I planted it Easter Sunday, and it is starting to really look good, but it also is starting to look really weedy. So as soon as it's fit, I'm definitely gonna cultivate it. I'm gonna get the little tractor workout because we've definitely got some stuff to cultivate. It's actually looking really good. This side isn't as weedy, but I've got some really nice looking corn. I'm really shocked that it lasted. This was the leftover seed from last year, and I put 8 rows in, and I just wanted to see what it would do. And I put it in, I mean, it was so, it's been through all of that cold, crappy weather, and it's actually coming. But you get down here, it is definitely weedy. We had a bunch of button weeds and lamb's quarters and foxtail. I mean, you look at that, you can really see the weeds. You can't hardly see the corn in it, but it don't look bad. We'll get sped up going, and you can definitely see my second planting these 4 rows. And then we have a spot where the planter messed up, so I have a driveway. And then I have my second 4 rows. So I've got 16 rows planted, and we're gonna do more. Get it all done. Get this done. We are to the point we need to start doing some of the gourds, and some of the pumpkins are starting to get to the point they need planted. That little gator's awesome because then I can actually show you good. They're not in the vehicle. I'm not gonna leave tracks. But we got over 1 inch of rain, and this little spot here had been tilled where that waterway comes down. So all the water comes. It rained enough, and it was a pretty good thunderstorm. But as you can see, not 1 inch of dirt has moved because we were that dry. It soaked up every single bit of it. Looks really nice. Where I have tilled here, where the green beans are, looks really good. Most of the green that you see on it is actually the helicopters from the maple trees. And then you can kind of see the rows here that I planted. I don't think anything should be up in them yet. They hadn't been in long enough, but there's that. And this is the other part of the, whatchamacallit, where the pumpkins are. Or not pumpkins, where the potatoes. It starts with a P, I got mixed up. And this is my row of yellow squash and zucchini, 150-foot row combined. And then here behind our little barrel train, I moved it out of the way so Dad could mow, so now you can't see very good because it's in the way. We got potatoes. This was that first planting of them. And then we do have the garlic and onions and the kohlrabi, that very first planting that I've showed you before. And then these 2 rows where it's really weedy is our asparagus. My brain went blank for a second. And then we have rhubarb up back there. And more asparagus. Looking really nice. I do have that tall broadleaf weed in it. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it is making me mad. But there isn't a whole lot I can do because it is asparagus. And then we got onions and garlic. They're looking fabulous. Got our little greenhouse. And there's where we're gonna build our new greenhouse for selling out of. And we're gonna build a store here at the end, hopefully. And then we've got the big one. And we'll walk in it while we're here, if it don't roll away. All right, I'll flick on Oop, then my fingers across it. We'll walk in through the head house and in here. How big do you guys think this tomatoes have gotten? It's been a couple days since I've showed you. Any guesses? Yep, they're about as big as me. And there is an absolute ton of tomatoes in here. Just everywhere. It is just clear packed. I do not have any turning quite yet, but some of them are just gonna be awesome tomatoes. And all 4 rows that are up tall are looking awesome in here. We do have some that aren't quite as tall because we thought we would try to split them. Plus we had that freeze on that 1 row, so it kind of messed them up. Where was the one I took a picture of yesterday? Right there. I think that one maybe. You see the little white cross in it? That means it's starting to get really close to turning. It might be one of our first ones. And this set we put in late just as an experiment type thing. They're looking pretty good. I hope they do well. But we usually end up with a summer lull. We're trying to decide if it's something with the tomatoes or if it just gets too hot in here. This way we can tell if these do the same thing about the same time the big ones do. We'll know it's the temp in here and not anything else. But then look at all of those cucumbers. And we have little bitty cucumbers everywhere. They are just blooming like crazy all the way up through there. But they are looking awesome. I'm happy with them. Here in another couple weeks we'll have fresh cucumbers on the farm, and we can't complain about that. But yep, every one of these rows is just looking awesome. And then we have blooming peppers. These are all big bells, and you can see the little bitty bells starting. So here in probably several weeks we'll have really nice looking bell peppers for sale. But they are not, almost half of the plants are pretty well blooming, I think. They look fabulous. Here the weather keeps the way it is. We are, oh, I gotta stop and show you this cluster of tomatoes. Just look how nice that sucker looks. I mean, they're just absolutely everywhere. But here in a couple weeks, we're gonna probably have to put the shade cloth down on it. I mean, just look at that sucker. I mean, there's my finger. I mean, that's a big tomato, or gonna be a big tomato. But they look absolutely fabulous. And of course, they're up here tall. All of them, for the most part, are taller than me. Well, there's probably a couple of them in there that are close to 7 foot that I'm seeing. But yeah, they're looking fabulous. Just growing like crazy. And we'll switch back so we can walk out here. And we'll see if anybody is in the other one. Well, I know most of my family doesn't like to be in videos with me, so I can get the door to shut. The fan's on, so it wants to pull it back open. And nobody's here. And I did buy my bag of seed corn so we can put the corn maze in. As soon as it dries out, we're gonna plant it. I was gonna work on it yesterday, but I worked on the Indian corn instead. And just always something. And then I bought a new van. Let me walk around this side of the tree. The apple trees are still kind of hit or miss subject. Part of these look pretty well dead, and then the bunch of them don't look bad. I don't know if the cold affected them that bad. I'm not sure. They don't look horrible to me. Most of them I pop open look pretty viable, but you can see where there was some on some of these that don't have anything. I think them are the ones that fell off that were junk. So we may have apples this year. None of them are swelling too bad or too big. I just, because this is the flower, and this is also that little bottom piece on the bottom of the apple that you see on the bottom of the core. The apple will actually swell right there where my thumbnail is, that kind of bigger spot. That's actually the apple, and there's the stem. It swells between the flower and the stem. I don't know what they're gonna do. We're still far enough in. I just don't know. They don't look bad, most of them, but I just don't know. It's one of them years. It's just we're just gonna wait a little bit longer before we decide what we think we're gonna have. But I bought us, or my wife and I decided to buy us, a 15-passenger 1-ton Chevy van. I know, block out the license plate because, you know, like I really care. But this thing is the 1-ton 15-passenger. So we have the driver's seat and the front seat, and we took 3 sets of seats out. There's my bag of corn, Channel. Local dealer's a pretty good guy. I like him. So we thought we would try it. But from the back of this seat to the door is 9 foot. On Mom's 12-passenger Ford van, from the back of the passenger seat to the back door is 9.5 feet. So we can take Nora with us and still have almost as much room. Plus, the reason we like the passenger vans, it's got rear heat and AC. So when we're going to the markets, we can turn the AC on in the back and help keep the vegetables cool so they don't get as hot. That's our main reason. Plus, it's still big enough. Nora sits in the car seat, so she has room. I can still stick the canopy between the 2 seats. It works rather well. We haven't taken it to a market. The door does shut a little hard, but it's not bad. It does have a little bit of rust on the bottom, but being the white, it shows worse than it is. It does have a little bit of a hole in the back, but for the price, I'm not going to complain. Pretty nice shape for the years. A little bit heavier or higher on the miles than I really wanted to look into, but for the price. And then it's got the receiver hitch and the plug, so I've already had the car trailer hooked to it and pulled it, and it worked really good. Pretty nice van. Let me back up so you can see it a little better. But it's a pretty good van. We've been driving it around a little bit. I've got to do a little bit of work to the Tahoe, so I've been driving the van. Got to put a rear diff cover. Apparently they're prone to rusting out. Mine is leaking oil out of the diff cover. So I have it, I just have to take it apart. And now with the rain, maybe tomorrow, well, probably not. My daughter's graduating, so we got to take the van out and pick up some stuff for her graduation stuff. But I think that's everything I'm going to show you. We're almost hitting that 20-minute mark already. I did harrow out where the corn maze is going to go. It is ready to plant. As soon as it's dry enough, we're going to hook the planter up and we're going to go. We're going to do another planting of sweet corn as soon as it's hooked up, because if it's dry out front, it'll be dry out there. We'll go run that through. We'll get it out. Maybe I'll try to remember my other mounts so we can get some pictures of me actually doing something instead of just showing you. And maybe we'll try to bust it up into a few smaller videos. Thanks for watching, guys. All the comments are awesome. We're still up in the air with the weather. But have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.